Thanks, Rachel. Thanks for posting your work here. One of the things that I think is so neat about your style that you've developed here is the shapes in the background. You're going to find a lot of students are going to end up placing their stamps right on a color field in the background. And the problem there is it doesn't imply depth like this is. This is really implying depth by just giving mere shape. This is called overlapping. And anytime you overlap two objects, you're implying depth by saying or indicating that the object that is being overlapped is further from the focal plane than the object that is overlapping. So it's a great way to apply depth. I love it. I would stick with it. I think you had some questions here as to whether I'm not sure about the backgrounds. I think it's a good idea. Um, okay, so another thing I wanted to address, detailing the hair, yes, definitely. I'm not sure what is making them look a little off, but if you guys have any ideas, I do. I can help you with that. Um, okay, so what I want to do is let's address that right now. The reason yours looks off is because I think your skin tone is not represented. I think your skin tone here is not represented quite as accurately as it could be. And I think this is maybe this. I think even Corel is a little bit dark. That looks great right there. And one of the things that you can do in this project, since it's a series, is now granted nobody has identical skin tones, right? But one of the liberties you can take as an illustrator here is to kind of create a skin tone palette that is a little bit more consistent here. That's going to add a lot of harmony to this series itself, right? Now, and again, you are taking liberties here because you're kind of making a judgment call on the way the skin tone is depicted in the image and the way that you're depicting it in the series in order to develop a high degree of harmony and consistency in the series. Now, that comment I wouldn't make if this was an individual illustration assignment. Do you see what I'm saying? The next thing is one of the reasons is you take a look at the relationship of the background shape. Okay, and right now, your background shape is you're forced up towards the top of the shape, right? See how that there's a nice distance between the shape there? Well, look, this is the top of his head and the top of the shape, right? Then over here, top of his head would be right here, so the top of the shape would be right here. Again, ample distance. These two are different, and I think that's what's throwing you off is because the background shape is implying a different kind of depth of field. So in other words, these look like they're a different distance from the camera than these, okay? And I think that could be something that you definitely want to address. So once you do the eyes, the skin tones, and kind of get this adjusted so that it's extremely consistent, you're going to start seeing a much more likeness. Now let me jump over here. What I want to do here is I want to try to get, okay, this is what I'm after. I want to compare. So let's do this. This is going to be really difficult, but I think we can do it. Okay, so Gene Wilder, nice job. So really good job so far. I want to get some texture in that hair. That's his defining characteristic is the hair and those big blue eyes, right? So that's great. Now what you want to do here is you want to start really developing some shadow areas. A lot of contrast. We got to get to this, depict this contrast in the clothing and these wrinkles in the clothing and these tie. The tie actually looks pretty good, but little texture down there, try to depict some of these textures in the clothing. And then shadow highlight in the hair, texture in the hair. The hat looks actually really good. But down here in the face, we want to get these shadow areas, definitely. And you want to be really careful with the shadow areas because if you overdo it, we're going to start looking like zombies. Let's take a look at Jim Carrey. This is great. This is great. One thing I see here that might help here is right now you should take a look at the contour of the left side of his face facing the image. Seems like this kind of curves in a little bit more drastically. Right now yours comes down a little bit. So I guess what I'm saying really is the distance between his mouth and the sides of his face is much greater in your depiction than it is here. All right. Texture in the hair, shadow and highlights. Get some, yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. Now, you add digital makeup to all four. You want high contrast in the eye areas because that's where your viewer is going to concentrate on the eye areas before all else. So let's get those developed. I think Carrie looks great, though. I mean, I think we can definitely push this technique a little bit to get a little bit more shadow. That seems to, his cheeks aren't as round as they are here. See how this little shadow here, these are big round cheeks right here, and they're not really translating as such right here. So you want to work on that because again, that is a definitive characteristic of Carrie. So and then we got to get some of the. Remember how straight the hair was? We wanted to pick that definitely wanted to pick that, and then just keep working those shadow highlight areas. And then again, the same thing in yours. And I think I want to get in here a little bit to yours because we want to take a look. Now, to me, again, you've got pretty round cheeks. Or I should say, this actress has pretty round cheeks, but we don't see that here. That's just flat, right? A lot of dimension right through here and right through here. They're just not picking up right here. Right here, I think your face in the image is much, much more narrow than it is here. Here, right, especially right through here. And I think that's an illusion because it looks like you're including an ear there, part of the ear. But this area right here, those shadows are important. We want to get a little bit more contrast in the eyes. I think the eyebrows could be a little bit darker. And then also this area right here, it's more, your face is more tapered. Or I should say this actress's face is more tapered right through here. Whereas here it's just like really round. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, just get in there and really, take some measurements too. I mean, I think the best way to start this assignment is to use your guides, your vertical and horizontal guides for the eyes, and that way you separate the face into 4 quadrants, and then you can make more accurate measurements. It's the distance between, let's say, the distance between the bridge of the nose, between the eyes, and the tip of the nose, the distance between the spot between the eyes and the bottom of the chin, etc. And that's why we draw guides like that in illustrating faces. It's just kind of separated into quadrants so you have a better idea of how to measure. Okay, a little bit more texture in the shirt, more movement. Hair needs texture, definitely needs texture in the hair. And then just keep working those subtle shadow and highlight areas. And keep in mind, it's really important that you go as subtle as you can in those shadow and highlight areas. Otherwise, we're going to start looking like zombies. And we've all seen it. It's quite unsettling. And a lot of illustrators overdo the shadow and highlight area. So you want to be really as subtle. Show as much restraint there as you can while still depicting shadow and highlight. But don't go too dark. Careful. All right, 8 minutes. That's enough, Michael. So anyways, great start, Rachel. Thanks so much for sharing. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. I'll be glad to make any recommendations, but looking fantastic. Thank you.